Hey guys, Jimmy Vegas here, and let's finally take a look at those player settings. So if we go to Edit and go down to Project Settings and click on Player, we get, as you would expect, the player settings. Now, these are not the actual player, as in your third-person controller, your first-person controller. These are not the settings for that. When it says player, it actually means the kind of package that it's playing. So, for example, it's the executable file on a PC, and it will be the mobile APK file for Android, whatever. So these play settings refer to the actual device mechanism, not the player in the game. So obviously you would have your company name right here, your product name. So for example, company name would be JV Unity, and product name would be how to use Unity. You'd have your icon and cursor if you require it. Generally, when I do it, I'm not really someone who uses the cursor, but I obviously do have an icon. These options here, this one is for PC, this one is for iPad, iPhone, whatever, and this one is for Android. Each of these will reflect every possible platform. So if you set something here, then you would obviously have it further down the line. However, you can override, if by just clicking that basically, whatever you have as your default icon will be placed all the way down here unless you want to manually override. Everything here is pretty self-explanatory. There's nothing drastically confusing or anything like that, but you would choose your resolution right here, so you can set everything what you would need to do. Generally, default settings are pretty decent. Splash image is actually the image which refers to the executable file when we start up Unity, not the splash screen that you would have perhaps your company name displayed on. It's just the image on a little box when you build your game. Things like other settings and XR, which is basically VR. So you've got Mac App Store options right there, because don't forget this is for PC standalone. Not entirely sure why it would ask for Mac there, because there is a little thing with Mac devices. You can't build it unless you're on a Mac, but that doesn't mean to say that you can't just take this as it is over onto Mac. So that probably explains why that is there. XR is basically VR support as you would expect. Obviously, going across to Apple devices, you can see everything is pretty much the same, nice and easy. Again, it's all self-explanatory. And finally, if we go to Android, you also have the options of creating, whatever else. You can have your ads added in this way, but ads is something, for another time, because that's not really basic Unity stuff. But either way, what I would recommend doing is once you have the basics in, things like your name, game name, icon, splash image, check your resolution, make sure everything's all right. Portrait, landscape, whatever. So, you can obviously rotate if you want to, but if your game isn't rotationable, you can turn it off here. So obviously the last thing I'm going to mention in this section is the publishing settings. This is where you have to create the basically the key, so you're able to publish it on Google Play. Now there are a lot of other settings that you can deal with, something like graphics and quality. The quality settings is something I'm going to quickly explain as well, because this is how you can set how much quality is available in your game. For example, you can have very low, medium, high. These are all the default ones, but you can actually customize and create your own just by changing these settings here. Again, by default, Unity does them pretty well, so you don't really need to modify these too much unless you want to change your name here and there. But the main thing you'll be dealing with, or rather the last thing you should probably be dealing with when you're creating your game, is that player settings, because most of the time you're just creating. Once you're done, you can set everything right here, and when you build your final product, it will be related to everything that you have right here. So guys, I hope that's been helpful. I hope this entire series has been helpful. I have plenty more tutorials on the channel, so hit subscribe, click the bell icon. You can stay up to date with everything, and there is hundreds and hundreds of different things and more advanced things for you to learn on my channel. And if you've enjoyed this short 2-hour series and feel like supporting a good cause, please feel free to check out my Patreon, where you'll get things like early access, exclusive content, free project files, and much, much more. And with that, guys, thank you very much for sticking with me for the past 2 hours. See you around.